Alright, Ashley, this is freestyle. It's been actually a lot easier working with this simply because you're actually swimming at pretty similar speeds year to year, except for freestyle. You were tempoing a lot faster a year ago, so they don't sync up really well. Maybe because you're a lot stronger and you're holding water a little better this year. But I'm going to just give it another pass, and I'm going to have to sync up one where you kind of are in sync together. But this just gives you sort of a blush. You can see the head position's fairly similar, shape of the body. Again, you're stronger this year. I can sense that you're stronger with your anchor position, so that part of it is good. But I'm just going to come back and let's get one synced up here in the middle. So I'm just going to get this, and it's going to be kind of weird because it's going to be hard to sync it up because of the you know, you're swimming different speeds. So everything's fairly synced up with where you are. I like the line a little better. I like the extension of the where you're extending the hand a little better. So as you get into this, I just feel like this anchor position, the way you're setting up this anchor position here, is stronger. And I've seen a lot of this in my lifetime, so that's not nearly as strong. So that part is getting better. It looks very similar, but to be honest with you, it is stronger. Now you're taking a breath here, unfortunately, and you can see that there was some loss of balance because you have this huge right here. And I back it up. You can see that left foot right here just really dragging through the water, and that's just because of you looking forward when you take the breath. It causes you to lose balance. Alright, so I had to kind of jump out, and I can't really get you synced up to where you're not breathing or you're breathing. So it's just you didn't you didn't get the memo about making sure that you breathe the same way as last year. But generally speaking, you know, I like the way you're handling your anchor positions, which is good. It's stronger than it was a year ago. I really feel like you're getting more propulsion out of it. So I'm just going to go to your regular stroke and look at that in itself. And the main thing I'm going to look at is just your legs. So the first thing in looking at these legs is looking at how many leg kicks end up in a closed joint. So that was a closed joint right there. That was a bit of a closed joint. That's 2. That was a closed joint. That was definitely a kind of like a deeper closed joint. So there's a loss of balance occurring in here, and I think to some degree in looking at it, it looks right and it looks normal, but it's not, because there's a lot of closed joint stuff going on there. So to me, even though everything seems to be traveling and working in unison, there's just some, and I'm looking at that, you keep everything in line, and I don't have honestly, I'd love to have an easy answer for you other than when you do breathe, you really get those closed joint things going on. But main thing here is I feel like there just might not be the really comfortable balance between arms and legs in terms of driving you forward, because basically you're kicking this arm in, this leg kick, this downward leg kick is just slightly out of sync. So that's where it is. So the legs are basically out of sync. The arms, this arm is pressing and rotating against that, but the leg should be going down. So this leg kick here is just a little out of sync and not in timing, and that's what's causing all the so. And I can explain to you, and I can show it to you fairly easily, and I know what I'm looking at. But when this arm gets into this anchor position, you can see the hips are rotating a little bit late because that leg kick comes in very late. So the timing of this rotation and the timing of that leg kick is not in sync, and that's what's causing. So you're basically rotating to get your hips out of the water, and let me just put this film up, because this is really where you want to go. This is what you want. This is really what you have to kind of work towards. And it's going to be hard because if I'm looking at you every day, I can solve this. I'm not looking at you every day, so you're a little bit on your own. But you're pretty conscious. But when this arm goes in the water right here and you apply pressure, you can see that swoosh now. I'm looking at that swoosh go away the other way, right? And that essentially, that's all. You see that the leg kick going down at that time is sort of leading into that sort of leg kick rotation against that anchor point. That's essentially where it should occur. Yours is occurring a lot later, so it's out of sync with what you're doing. So I'm going to show you one last thing, and this is something you tried in camp, and it actually worked pretty good for you in camp. But this is a swimmer using a stick, and this stick has some paddles on it. So this is an elevation of what I had you try. But I think you looked really good doing this backstroke. You struggle a little more with it freestyle, but it's going to force you. It's going to force you to rotate when you apply pressure on this side. You're going to have to rotate into the other side. And I think this is probably getting yourself a stick. Don't kill anyone with it. Certainly don't poke anyone's eye out with it. But working with a stick, even if you bring one to practice and when everyone's sort of done, you go and swim a couple laps with your fins, working on this rotation. So do a couple 25s with a stick, a couple 25s feeling like you're swimming with the stick in your hand, a couple 25s with a stick, a couple 25s feeling like you're swimming with a stick in your hand. And actually, I think that's kind of really what's going to help you kind of solve, getting this timing right. Because to me, that's the answer to getting it. All looks good, the line's good, but I know from your leg kick it's not good and it's not connected the way it should. Hopefully, this makes sense to you. But like I said, it's kind of like on the complex level of teaching kids how to swim. So I'm just going to bring your older self in here together for one last pass, and again, just the main things again, really working on that timing. Everything else I think is really good. Everything's working really well. Getting the timing right, using that kick to swim drill. So go through that cycle. Swim with a stick, swim like you don't have a stick in your hand. Kick to swim like you have a stick in your hand, but you don't have a stick in your hand. Those are kind of the sequences that I put my athletes through that are working on to solve some of the puzzles you're solving with your freestyle.